Alrighty, guys. So this next conversation is one that we definitely do not take lightly. Two daughters, two legacies that changed the course of this country. I need y'all to stand with me for this one. Please stand. Please stand. Please stand. Please stand. Clap it up. Start clapping right now. Please welcome Dr. Bernice King, daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., and Dr. Shabazz, daughter of Malcolm X. Together, moderated by entrepreneur and actively Black founder Laney Smith, they will reflect on the work of their fathers, the responsibility of carrying a legacy forward, and how they forged their own paths as leaders in their own right. Please welcome again with me, icons, legacy, and power to the stage. Clap it up. Let's begin. Let's bring them out. Let's bring them on out. Let's do it, Essence Festival.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
Don't let anybody make you feel that you are nobody.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair?
Don't be ashamed of your hair.
Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Don't be ashamed of your color.
Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips?
I am black and beautiful and not ashamed to say it.
Bring you out there.
Dr. Bernice King, daughter of Martin Luther King, and Dr. Ilyasah Shabazz, daughter of Malcolm X, together.
Malcolm, sweet Queen Betty, sweet Mother Mary, sweet Father Joseph, sweet Jesus. We made it in America, sweet baby Jesus. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, we made it in America.
Hello, hello, hello. How y'all doing, Essence? Yes, y'all please give it up for these queens. Come on now. Oh my goodness. It's a blessing to be here today at Essence Fest with these queens who really need no introduction, but as you all know, these are the daughters of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, Dr. Bernice King and Dr. Ilyasah Shabazz. We're gonna jump straight into it because I know we have a lot to talk about today. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is, as the daughters of such legendary figures as Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, can you share the blessing and maybe even the burden of being born into that royalty and what it means for both of you to carry on that legacy?
Okay. All right, I'm going to go first. Both of my parents gave their lives to something larger than themselves, and so the blessing is clarity. I'm clear because of their example of believing in the dignity of Black people so completely, so fiercely, so powerfully that the clarity of their purpose is a shining light for me and so many others here and around the world. The burden is empathy. And it's the empathy, though, that fuels and fortifies our stewardship.
So for me, the blessing is being able to carry forth a legacy that not just changed the world, but continues to inspire and educate and give people hope. I can say more, but I know our time is limited. Can I say one thing, though?
Please do.
Essence, we are here.
Come on
How
now.
about that?
Come on now.
On the main stage. I had to say that.
Of course.
That's a blessing.
Okay.
The
okay.
doors that are open, the access that, you have, and the credibility because of what our parents did.
Got you.
But the burden is when we show up, there's always that constant comparison. There's always that literal difficulty of just being you. And the burden of not being able to just not be Bernice King.
Just to exist as you. Yeah.
All the time. there are days when I just wish I don't have to deal with this. But I know when I leave my house, when I get out of the confines of my car, I have to show up, whether I like it or not. I don't get to have a bad day, because if I have a bad day, somebody's always got something to say. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. I mean, why are you paying that kind of attention to me, and why do I have to be that perfect?
Right.
So that part is a burden. But the other, for me, I'll just say, and I'm not sure, I think you've been married before, correct? The burden for me is it's been hard to connect with a brother.
Those are tough
become married.
to feel.
Yes, that's a burden.
Okay.
Because my father and mother had each other.
Yeah.
And there are days that I wish that I had a covering, a man that could help stand and fight some of the battles I've had to fight in my life.
Well, you know what?
Continue to fight.
We gonna pray, you know, that blessing still comes. We gonna
God's blessing, because a lot come, but they're not the right ones.
Got you. Now, you know, we often view both of your fathers, you know, as these legendary, sometimes almost mythical figures. But for you both, they were dad. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we forget the fact that you lost your fathers. How have you managed that combination of grief of losing your father, and then also that constant reminder of who your fathers were? It's like you can't really escape that. And then how has that formed this sisterhood between you two, that shared experience?
Yeah, it's a double question. I have to remember the question. Let me say it like this. There are very few people that are in our category. You can probably count on one hand how many people have had their parents assassinated for the cause. There's a very small group of people. And so it's a world that nobody understands. People forget. You know, sometimes we were just talking about some issues around trauma in the back. People expect so much of us, but they forget not only did we lose our parents to assassination at a young age. I was 5, you were 3, 2. I mean, that's traumatic, you know? And yet people expect us to continue to show up and represent. So the grief is always with you, because we also have to always be reminded of the assassination.
Yes, all the time.
I was going through a book the other day, and suddenly my father's out in the casket, and I'm like, I don't want to see this, you know? So we don't get that break. But the beauty on the other side is that they're with us. We get to carry not just our father, but our mother's legacy with us on a daily basis.
Right.
And that becomes comforting for me. So I'm going to toss it to my sister.
Well, Dr. Shabazz, you know, she touched on it about your mothers. One thing that we all know to be true is when you see any black man walking in his purpose, there's normally a black woman who is walking beside him and building with him. You know, so whether it's Michelle Obama, who we'll see, hello, or whether it's Bianca Winslow, my better half, who's the co-founder of Actively Black, or your queens, Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King. What does that mean to you to make sure that your mothers are also remembered for what they did and how they walked with your fathers? Can you talk about that, Dr. Shabazz?
Yeah, you know, when I think of our parents, and we've both said this publicly, we are grateful that they had one another. The sisterhood, you know, and what they modeled for us was trust, was love, was nurturing. When I think of my mother, and I share with my students, you know, my mother wasn't even 30 years old. She had 4 babies. She was pregnant with twins. And she and her husband lay in bed as husband and wife, as mother and father to all of these girls, and their home was firebombed. And so a week later, he invites her to the Audubon Ballroom, where he is going to deliver his the Organization of Afro-American Unity, because he was very much concerned about the welfare of black people. and aligning ourselves with Black people around the globe, right? No foundational Blacks, no, Caribbean, no this, but as one Black people. And so for my mother and her daughters to witness this assassination of her husband was very difficult. Probably the worst that she'd ever experienced in her life. And the fact that she continued and raised all of her girls, she loved her community, she loved herself, she loved her people, for me is very miraculous. And so, my mother's, what she modeled for us was, don't cry for me, Argentina. I am not one to, despair. I am not a victim. She never accepted no or I can't as an answer for herself. And as a result, she thrived. And, even my sisterhood with Bernice has been extremely helpful, and so thank you, my love.
And Lonnie, this is what I want to say. Without our mothers, the Malcolm X, the Martin Luther King that people know today, they wouldn't know. We wouldn't be sitting here today doing what we're doing. Our mothers made the legacy possible, and that's what I want to say. You can be as bad as you want in life, but if you don't make people feel connected and empowered through your life and changed, then when you're gone, that's it. And that's why I wear this jacket all the time. The young lady who makes this is here with me today, but it says impact over fame.
Okay.
And so many people trying to get the bag, they're trying to get the fame, but it's the impact that not just our daddies made, but the impact our mothers made.
Yes.
If you subtract most of the things that my mother did, if I said remove the King holiday, even the King Memorial, and I can put that in context for people, even though the Alphas did it, there was a foundation laid before. Remove the King Center that she founded as the institution and the work that it did to train 300,000 people when South Africa was preparing for a democracy so there would not be a bloodshed and moving from apartheid to democracy. Remove her encouragement for my father to speak out against the war in Vietnam. Remove her from the equation in Atlanta where they called upon her to help the momentum around the Fox Theater to keep it from being demolished. Remove her from Forsyth County when Hosea Williams got hit over the head and how she galvanized hundreds of thousands of people to converge on Forsyth County that today back then was a sundown town. You had to get up out of there. Now, Black folks live and are doing business in Forsyth County. Just keep removing the Freedom Concert she did to raise the money.
Right.
Just remove her from recording the first speech that he made. Remove her from saving the birth home in Atlanta. There would be no birth home if my mother didn't go to Ivan Allen as mayor when my father was living, when they were getting ready to demolish it and say, we need to preserve this for generations yet unborn. And it reopened yesterday, and me and my brother were there with his family and our cousins. And so just take her out of the equation and see what Martin King you get.
Right.
And that's right. And, and I want to add to that there is always a divisive tactic.
Yes.
Right? It's Martin or Malcolm. It's Booker T. Washington or W.E.B. Du Bois. It's Tupac or Biggie Smalls, right? And so we just have to understand that they are divisive tactics because we are the majority in the world. We have great values. We know what human dignity is. And so imagine if we all came together. You see Dr. King and me, we're sisters. We love each other. There is nothing divisive about it. And our fathers, they respected one another. And our mothers were very fortunate to have had one another as sisters, and we are beneficiaries of that love. And so we understand the necessity of brotherhood, of sisterhood, of all of us being under one fatherhood of God.
And so the next time there's a multiple choice like that, choose E. All of the above.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. The crowd got to see, a clip from our New York Fashion Week show, the Actively Black Fashion Week show, that you both walked out on that runway.
Only you could get us to do that.
I was so humbled that you got to understand, it felt crazy to even ask you. I'm going to these queens and asking them if they would walk on our fashion show, and you did. And the reason why I asked for y'all to walk together is because I wanted our people to see that unity, because far too often, even our own people will pit you against each other, pit your fathers against each other, and I wanted them to see that unity. So I really want to thank you for doing that.
And listen, Lanny, this is the reason why we support you. You didn't just do a fashion show. You brought history to the forefront. Right. And you acknowledged all of these individuals. There were people who were blackballed. There were people who were psychologically traumatized in this generation. And the fact that you got everybody together, that you invested your money, that you invested money into this company is, the reason that we will continue to support you, and how you got us on the plane to get here.
And you showed the connection in that video. Yeah. That was so powerful, because people, as was already said, they tear them apart all the time. There's enough of that. We're doing that too much right now.
Right.
We need each other like never before in this season.
Listen, this ain't supposed to be about me, and y'all got me up here about to cry. But thank you. I truly, truly appreciate that. One of the things I wanted to ask is, I know we don't have the time to dive into all of them, but is there one misconception about your fathers that you would like to dispel right here at Essence on this stage, and let people know, this is false, or this is a misconception about my father that I want to correct?
I got so much to correct.
I mean, we can get into that later.
I don't know if I can do it totally on the
We've
on
got
the
a
stage,
podcast coming out.
Yeah.
Just want to let y'all know we've got a podcast coming out where we're going to dive deep into these issues.
But this is the one I'll talk about. Most people don't know that my father was building an economic infrastructure for the black community through Operation Breadbasket, which was the economic arm for SCLC. So what I'm going to say is, everybody on here, go to YouTube and look up his 1967 speech to the SCLC convention called "Where Do We Go From Here?" Because most people say, he didn't do nothing on the economic front.
Right.
And he did. He wasn't just talking about it. They were making substantial progress. For one example, in Atlanta alone, because of the work that Operation Breadbasket was doing, demanding that the companies not only hire more black people, because back then, we take it for granted now, there weren't no black people significantly working in most of these places. And so not only were they calling on them to hire more blacks, but to promote them and pay them on par. And when they didn't do that, then they would call for an economic boycott. But in most instances, the companies responded. And as a result, they were able to increase the income in the black community every year by $25 million, which is like $300 or $400 million today.
Come on.
So that's significant. That's Dr. King and the SCLC and those that work in and around him. So I just wanted to clarify that part.
Okay. And Dr. Shabazz, we got to make sure people know Dr. Shabazz just released a new book called Malcolm in the Desert. Would you like to tell the folks about, what this book is about, and the transformative information that's shared in there that we all need today?
Yes. So, I'm a writer. So there's a Yoruba proverb that I quote in my book. And it says, in order to find your way, you must first become lost. And you must acknowledge that you are lost. My father became beautifully, productively lost in the desert. And what emerged was the blossoming of his beautiful stewardship. He served God to his higher power. He said he didn't fear man because he feared God. And so we discovered his compassionate heart. And so in this book, it's a daughter's offering to a father she never fully got to know. After he left the Nation of Islam in 1964, my father made Hajj, his pilgrimage to Mecca. He walked alongside pilgrims from every nation and every complexion, and for the first time in his adult life, he was not defined by his marginal status as a black man in America. He was becoming El Hajj Malik El Shabazz in 1965 when we weren't even flying on airplanes. And one expression of being is what he called the infinite parade of beings before God. The anger that had fueled him, the pain that had shaped his politics, rightfully so, began to open into something larger, compassion. He was just 39 years old. And so what I learned personally is that my father was just a young man. I'm old enough to be his mother today. He was 39 when he was killed. He was still becoming. He was publicly changing his stated positions to admit where he had been wrong and to keep moving toward truth even when it cost him everything. And so my father was most of all a truth teller, not a fixed ideology, but a continued commitment to growth, evolution, transformation. And what I hope our people take away from my father is this: transformation is not a betrayal of who you are, it is a fulfillment of it. And in these hard times, we do not need to be rigid. We do not need to alienate ourselves from one another, but to be rooted and open. And my father was both. And I'm so grateful that I have this book and I have the opportunity to write it at this stage in life. And it is my gift to you, and I hope that you will go out and you will get it. It's a self-guide book to walk alongside Malcolm, to walk alongside me during a very challenging time in our lives, and see what we did to grow. And it's something that Dr. King and I talk about kind of often. You know, I look at her and I always think that she has all the answers. And she looks at me and she thinks I have the answers. And I'm like, really? You know, so we really lean on one another, and I think we help fuel one another, and it's so important for us in our communities to do that.
So speaking of answers, they telling me we got to go soon. So I have one more question for you, Dr. King, that I think is an answer we all are looking forward to. When you look at the landscape of what's happening right now in our country, when you're looking at the temperature of the politics of society, they're trying to erase black history, the attack on black women, black men, black children, things like the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act that they're openly attacking. When you think about what your father fought and died for, what's a call to action for us right now as a people as we deal with what's going on right now in this country? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
So going back to what I said about why we need each other in this season, I'm a preacher. There's a chapter in Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah, the 4th chapter, the 19th and 20th verse. It says, the problems, what we're dealing with is extensive. And we are widely separated on the wall. We know we're dealing with some extensive, challenging things. We're widely separated in spaces and places doing what we can do in this hour. But it says, when you hear the sound of the trumpet, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Trump, but that's what I meant to say. Rally together. That means come together and our God will fight for us. This is a season that we have to do what Daddy said. He said in his book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos Community? We must organize, and it's a nettlesome task, he said, to discover how to organize our strengths into compelling power so that the government or power structures cannot elude our demands, not requests, demands. So that means that we've got to move beyond organizing around passion, but we got to look at how do we bring together every strength that's needed, and we coordinate those efforts in a powerful front. Right now, people are doing things in different ways, But if we don't find our way to a strategy and a plan that is past politics, because we are not fighting politics right now. We are actually in a battle between evil and good.
Amen.
And that's a different kind of fight.
Right, right.
So you have to fortify in a different kind of way. And so that's what I would say to our people. And finally, nonviolence teaches us and gives us the framework for doing that effectively, so that we don't have many casualties, first of all, but also so that we can build the world that all of us genuinely want, where everybody can flourish. So I'm encouraging people to visit thekingcenter.org, take our masterclass, our workplace edition, and let's deal with what we're up against, because it's deeply disturbing, it's deeply disappointing. But as Mama said, struggle is a never-ending process. Freedom's never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation. So we're going to do that in this generation. They might try to set us back, but the setback is a setup, and we're going to come back strong if we organize our strength.
That's right. We're going to be actively black. And with that, you know, the tagline for Actively Black is there's greatness in our DNA, and these two queens are the living embodiment of that. There's literally greatness in their DNA. Thank you, queens, for joining me today on this stage. Forever grateful. Thank you. Please give it up for them, please.